Unfair pin placements, rock-hard greens, immovable greens, and unreachable fairways are just a few of the controversies that the U.S. Open has faced over the years. No other major deals with such contention, and it has now become a characteristic that we all look forward to every Father's Day. It looks like this year we'll all be talking about how vicious the rough is at Oakmont, which won't be the first time Oakmont stole the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. But first, let's talk about the greens at Chambers Bay in 2015. This challenging course was supposed to be a regular on the U.S. Open rotation, but after players adamantly complained about the greens all week, it looks like we won't be seeing Chambers Bay anytime soon. This link-style course designed by Robert Trent Jones Jr. was only 8 years old at the time. Hosting the U.S. Open for the first time, it was expected to bring a dramatic coastal challenge similar to the British Open. The course is carved out of a former sand and gravel quarry and features wide fairways and massive undulating greens, all planted with fine fescue grass, rather than the more traditional poa annua or bent grass commonly found in the U.S. Open sites. By the time of the tournament, many greens, due to the Pacific Northwest's unique climate and heavy foot traffic, had transitioned from pure fescue to a patchy mix of fescue and poa. This resulted in brown, bumpy, inconsistent putting surfaces that looked unattractive on television and played even worse. Players complained that the ball wasn't rolling smoothly and would veer offline, particularly on greens heavily invaded with the poa. The difference in texture and color between the grasses created literal patches that could change a putt's direction. Billy Horschel made a highly publicized show of frustration by fake slamming his club down and mimicking a fish swimming through with his hand to imitate how the putts were rolling. Henrik Stenson compared the surfaces to putting on broccoli. The unpredictable putting surfaces reduced players' ability to rely on skill and touch, introducing an unacceptable amount of luck to the championship. Jordan Spieth went on to win after Dustin Johnson three-putted from 10 feet on the 72nd hole. The controversy severely damaged Chambers Bay's reputation as a major championship venue. The USGA has not scheduled another men's U.S. Open at Chambers Bay, although it hosted the 2022 Women's Amateur and was awarded the 2027 U.S. Junior Amateur, with the greens since being resodded to all POA to prevent a repeat. Speaking of controversial greens, do you remember 2004 at Shinnecock Hills? This event shaped the future of USGA course setups and their philosophy. It's often cited whenever there's a debate about pushing golf courses to the edge. Shinnecock Hills Golf Club in Southampton, New York is a historic link-style venue and founding member of the USGA. The U.S. Open has been played there 3 times before, in 1896, 1986, and 1995, but never under conditions as severe as in 2004. The week was unusually dry and windy, resulting in extremely firm and fast conditions, even before the greens reached their tipping point. But this didn't change the USGA's plan to create a tough test. They opted for firm, fast greens with tight pin positions, the kind of challenge associated with U.S. Open. Greens were mowed extremely short and double or triple cut in an effort to maintain championship speed, but this left little margin for error. By Saturday, some greens were already browning out and showing signs of stress, becoming glassy and unable to hold even well-struck shots. On Sunday, the USGA allowed the course to become overcooked and did not adequately water certain greens overnight. The 7th green, a tiny hourglass-shaped par 3 at only 189 yards, became so fast and hard it was essentially unplayable. The USGA's attempted damage control included hand-watering greens between groups during the final round, which had little effect. The 7th green became the epicenter of controversy. Well-struck shots would not only fail to stop, but sometimes roll entirely off the green, even on putts. Ernie Els famously said, "I think they've lost the golf course." On the 7th green, there's no grass left. And NBC commentator Johnny Miller described it as golf's version of the Titanic. USGA Executive Director David Fay publicly admitted that the 7th green was out of control and that the setup went beyond the bounds of fairness. Winning score was +4. Only 2 rounds in the final round were under par. Phil Mickelson, in contention, double bogeyed the 17th after a 3-putt, with many pointing to the impossible greens as a huge factor. Phil was involved in more controversy at the 2018 U.S. Open, which was also held at Shinnecock. Again, sporting questionable green speeds, Phil became upset and stopped his moving ball from rolling off the green. Of course, he was assessed a penalty, which he said he would rather accept than have to chase his ball down the hill and chip on again. Greens haven't always been the issue at U.S. Opens. In 2002, Bethpage Black set up the 10th hole so that the start of the fairway was a 260-yard carry. Back then, there were a lot fewer players who could clear that. These days, it would be like making it a 300-yard carry. Only about half the players had a realistic chance of making it. For players like Mike Weir, who spoke out about the issue, it was impossible for them to reach the fairway, especially with the headwind that accompanied the hole every day of competition. The area also saw lots of rain, so anyone hoping to one-hop their drives out of the rough and into the fairway would be sorely disappointed. This was during a time when Tiger Woods and John Daly were shredding courses with their length, and course designers were trying to fight back. However, in their effort to make things difficult for long players, they alienated the short hitters and disrupted the entire integrity of the game and the tournament. This year at Oakmont, we will see the same controversy as the par 3 8th hole is expected to play just under 300 yards. Even though that is the tour average these days, many players will be chipping from just in front of the green, just trying to save par. At the end of the day, one shot could be the difference between winning and losing at any U.S. Open, let alone at Oakmont. Back in 1994, one shot was the difference between Ernie Els making it into a playoff or not. It happened on the first hole of the final day when Ernie hit his drive into the deep left rough. After assessing his shot, he asked for a ruling from one of the nearby officials, who determined that Els was eligible for a free drop based on the TV crane that was in his way. The crane was determined to be an immovable man-made object. So Ernie took his one club length, free relief, but this put his ball out of the rough and into a much better lie. The issue here is that the crane was in fact movable. It was on wheels and had been moved multiple times already that day. It was moved again 15 minutes after Ernie passed through. Ernie was able to cart a bogey from his horrendous drive and finish tied with Colin Montgomery and Lauren Roberts, and then beat them in a playoff in the next day. The rules official responsible for the ruling would admit fault years later, but it's interesting to think what would have happened if Ernie didn't get that ruling, because at the time, Ernie was young and had never won a major before. Fast forward to the 2016 U.S. Open at Oakmont, and you have Dustin Johnson, who just a year earlier fell victim to the USGA's decision to play an untested Chambers Bay. DJ was back for revenge, and it seemed like he would get it until a snafu on the 5th green. As he placed his ball down on the green and began his pre-shot routine, the ball moved. No one saw it at first, and DJ made the decision to call a rules official. The rules official, with the help of DJ's playing partners as witnesses, determined no violation had occurred. A few holes later, DJ was informed by other USGA rules officials that the matter would be reviewed and that he may still be issued a penalty. They tell him this while he's playing the final round of the U.S. Open. Upon later review, these secondary USGA officials, who felt compelled to butt in and were not at the scene of the penalty in question, decided to overrule the first official and assess DJ a penalty stroke. Thankfully, DJ had a large lead, so the penalty did not affect the outcome this time. Let's hope this year the USGA stays within their limits and makes good choices so the players and the viewers can enjoy a great week of golf. Thanks for watching. I'm Clint McCormick, resident golf professional here at Golfspan.com.